Hey guys, it's Monday and welcome to another week of Geeks of the Week. I'm just gonna jump right into Luluco's question because that kind of has to do with everything else I'm talking about today. So Luluco asked what our biggest fear in cosplay is. I'm kind of on Nikki's side when it comes to this stuff. I don't really fear what other people think or if a costume will fall apart. I mean, no one wants their costume to fall apart and no one wants anybody to think their costume is stupid looking. But for me, it's all about disappointing myself and knowing that I can do better than what I did. So for an example, I made Rachel Alucard 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I don't know, it's been a while, but that costume was terrible and I knew it and I wasn't happy with how it turned out, but because I'm really stubborn, I wore it anyway, even knowing that it wasn't done and it didn't look great and there was a lot of things that had to be done to it that I never bothered to do because I was just so angry at the costume, but I was not proud of that costume at all. Whenever I make a costume, I never quite know what I'm doing. I don't know how to read patterns. I don't know how to sew properly because I've never taken a class. But that doesn't stop me from trying. And I think my biggest fear is if I not necessarily try and fail. Because if I fail, okay, I know how I can fix it, maybe, and then I try to fix it. But if I just can't figure it out, I feel like I'm disappointing myself in that aspect. And stopping myself from getting better is probably my biggest fear. I feel that's almost like a cop-out answer, so I have to say some other fear too, I guess. I also fear that people will see my underwear in costumes, so I always wear shorts under my skirt. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. So because we were talking about fears today, I want to throw out some fears that fellow geeks might have. So I'm going to list off the top 10 fears that I could come up with. By top 10, I mean the only 10 I could come up with in a really short amount of time because I have things to do today. So for really obvious reasons, number 10 is the zombie apocalypse. Now, I rated that number 10 because even though it's really freaking scary to think that there could be zombies in the world, I feel a lot of us are already prepared for this. I mean, we've had pretty good training in video games. There are the zombie survival guides. You can do all kinds of stuff to prepare for this. So I feel that's not the greatest threat. Number 9, I'd say, are fires. Household fires. Now those are pretty scary to people in general because no one wants to lose their homes, but think about it. Geeks have a huge collection of maybe Western comics or manga or things that have been signed and exclusive figurines that could melt, all super easy and flammable and gone in an instant if there's a fire. So horrifying. Number 8 is if December 21st proves to be the third impact. If you've seen me on Genesis Evangelion, you know that's not going to be a good day for anyone. Number 7, Comic-Con is filled with Twilight fans. Balls, that already happened. Number 6, if the phase 2 of the Avengers movies blow. My heart would just sink. I'd just cry for like the rest of my life. Don't disappoint me, Joss Whedon. My life depends on this. Number 5 is if your children don't like geek and nerdy culture. Like they end up being one of those like popular people who makes fun and bullies other nerds. That would suck. Number 4 is if it really isn't bigger on the inside. Mind blown. Number 3 is if printed literature comes to an end. There won't be any more manga, there won't be any more comics, there won't be any more anything. You just have to download online and it would suck. And this is actually pretty probable because you see magazines and comics and books and printed in general all being transformed and put online. Number 2 is that my power level might never be over 9,000, and that's just a dream crusher. And number 1 of the scariest things that could possibly happen in nerd and geek culture is that Stan Lee dies. I personally don't think he will. I think he is some kind of alien or robot designed to just look old, and that he'll never actually age from here on out and never die, and that they'll just keep replacing parts in him, and I think he'll be okay. But in the off chance that he is actually human and will potentially die one day, that's going to be the worst day of all time. And then we won't even get to play Where's Stan Lee in all the Marvel movies. But seriously, that'll be the worst day ever. So that's my top 10, but I just want to sign out saying that the only thing you really have to fear is fear itself. Congratulations, Stephanie, that was really lame. Nah. So kind of elaborating on what Luluco asked, I want to ask what's everyone's nerdy fear in general? Not just cosplay related stuff, but in general. I want to know. So fellow geeks, answer the questions. All the people who watch, feel free to comment with your answers below. And like always, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out the other Geeks of the Week. I actually really enjoyed this book, but not just because it was awesome and there's awesome Kid Loki and Leia, but because it has a lovely picture of Tom Hiddleston in it, and I have a lot of problems. No regrets.